Hi everyone, and welcome back to Just Julia. We're back in the apartment today. Liz is behind the camera.
Hey guys.
And guess what? It's back to school season. But don't fear, I have a delicious and easy cupcake recipe for you. We're making a end of the season peach cupcake with a toasted meringue icing. It is so good and obviously so easy. Okay, so to get started with our cupcakes, we're going to mix our dry ingredients first. We have 2½ cups of all-purpose flour with 1 teaspoon of baking soda already in there. We have 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and we have 1 teaspoon of salt. This is going to get mixed. You can sift this, or you can just use a fork and stir it up and just make sure everything is nice and incorporated. That's going to be set aside. Now for our wet ingredients, we have half of a cup of milk and half of a cup of canola oil. We're also going to be using a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So all of the wet is going to go together. And then that is going to be set aside also. Okay, so now we've got our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients combined. We're going to be creaming our butter and our sugar. So one very important tip when making any sort of cakes or cupcakes or any batters is really you want to start with all of the ingredients at room temperature. And what that's going to do is it's going to make the ingredients a lot easier to combine, and that's for making a nice fluffy cake. So this is going to be creaming. Okay, so the butter and sugar is nicely creamed. I'm just going to scrape down the sides of the bowl before adding in our eggs. And we're going to add our eggs one at a time, and you want to make sure that everything is nicely incorporated before you add the next egg. Okay, so eggs are nicely incorporated. Now we're going to alternate adding the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients. One very important thing to remember when you're doing this step is always end and begin with the dry. And you really don't want to overmix at this point, because what we want to do is have a nice and fluffy and crumbly cake batter. And if we mix it too much, we're going to get that gluten development in the flour. So almost like a bread. So like when you're making bread, you want to knead the dough and get it really nice and crispy, have a crispy crust. But with cakes, you want the opposite. So we're going to be mixing it for a short amount of time. Now we're going to add in our wet. So I learned a little something about Liz today. I've actually known this for a while, but I had to clarify today. She's never made a cupcake or a cake in her life.
No, I've never made one from scratch.
Okay, now we're all done mixing. We're going to now get the batter into our cupcake molds. And one really foolproof, easy trick to do this is to use an ice cream scooper. So we're going to take this out, give it one last stir with your spatula just to make sure everything is incorporated. And then we're going to get our muffin tins. And you really want to make sure you use your paper cups. It's just the easiest way to make sure that your cupcakes don't stick to your baking tin. You could also use a silicone muffin tin. Those work really well and they're reusable, so that's really easy. And we've got our trusty scooper. So the reason why it's so easy to use this is because it's going to make sure that all the cupcakes are the exact same size and that they bake at the exact same time.
That is actually a really good tip.
And it's way easier than trying to scoop them out with like a spoon.
Yeah.
I got some tips and tricks up my sleeve.
This is a good one though.
So these cupcakes are going to grow in size, so you don't want to fill them up to the very top. And this recipe makes about 2 dozen cupcakes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hollow out a little hole in the center and fill it with our caramelized peaches. It's going to be so tasty. Okay. Cupcakes are all ready to go in the oven. We have our oven preheated at 350 degrees, and these are going to take about 15 to 20 minutes. So set your timer for 8, rotate, and 8 again. Okay, so now on to our caramelized peaches. These are the very end of the peach season, and they're really fresh. They smell so good. They're from the Okanagan. So we're going to take advantage of the end of the season peaches and make our peach caramel. So what we're going to do is just take the peach, do some slices, cut around the pit. It's okay if they're a little bit riper than normal because that's where all the flavor is going to be. And you're going to need about like 6 to 7 peaches for this because they do really reduce. Again, you can gauge how sweet you'd like this and you can add less sugar if you'd like. You could also use honey or brown sugar. Good alternatives. And then we're going to be adding about 1.5 cups of water. So this is going to be a slow simmer. So all of those juices are going to really marry together. All right, so our cupcakes are all done. They look so perfect. It really makes a difference when you use an ice cream scooper. Don't they look so cute, Liz?
Mm-hmm, perfect.
So another trick to making cupcakes is you want to cool them down out of the cupcake tin. This ensures that they don't overcook and that they stay nice and moist. All right, so our caramelized peaches are all done. They've been simmering for about 30 minutes. Can you see that beautiful like golden caramel color? They're so tasty. That caramel adds such a beautiful depth and richness, almost like a little bit of a bitterness. Like a combination of like a bitterness and sweetness to those peaches. It's very, very good. So we're gonna set those aside while we get our toasted meringue icing all sorted out. So in the bowl of an electric mixer fitted with a whisk attachment, we're going to add 1.5 cups of white sugar. Then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of corn syrup. So this is actually going to be 6 egg whites. We have a pot here of boiling water. We're just going to set the KitchenAid bowl on top and gently whisk to combine the whites and the sugar. And what you're looking for here is for the egg whites to come to room temperature and for that sugar to be dissolved. You're gonna know it's ready when you can't feel the grittiness of that sugar anymore. Okay, now this is gonna start whisking on high speed. Okay, so our meringue frosting has come a long way. It looks so good, you guys. This is exactly what you're looking for. You want this consistency where it's a stiff peak. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Whoa.
That
You know
looks
that's gonna be so good. So this is going to continue mixing on low because we don't want our whites to deflate. And while that's mixing, we're going to fill our cupcakes with our delicious peach caramel. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a knife like this with a pointy tip, and you're just going to cut a circle right in the center. If you have an apple core, that also works really, really well. So then you've got a little hole like that. And then you're going to take a small spoon, get some of that juice, and just fill that right at the top. And it's okay if it's sticking out a little bit because our toasted meringue icing is going to be piped on top and you won't be able to see that. So just continue with the rest of these. Cupcakes are all filled. Now it's time for the fun part. We're going to ice these. So just give it one last stir. Make sure everything's all mixed in from the bottom of the bowl. And then we're going to fill our piping bag. Again, I'm using my favorite star tip. It just looks the prettiest, especially on cupcakes. But you can use whatever tip you like. They all will look really great. And if you don't have a piping bag, you can use a Ziploc bag and just cut the end off of it, like the little corner piece. Okay, so see how it's nice and beautiful and glossy? Now it's really holding its shape. That is exactly what you want to see. And this recipe makes about 4 cups of meringue icing. So this is just our first 12 cupcakes. There'll be enough here to do all 24 cupcakes. Okay, now we're gonna just do a little, what was that, right on top of each cupcake. So now for the final touch, we're going to be toasting our meringue icing. Now you want to make sure that you take the cupcakes out of the paper because the blowtorch could catch the paper on fire, kind of like that. I mean, that one didn't catch on fire, but you definitely don't want to risk it. So take them out of the little papers. And then I've got this blowtorch from Home Hardware. It's just a regular blowtorch. I'm going to turn it on. And you're going to just hold it and slightly rotate. Just like so. Doesn't that look fabulous? Okay, these look so tasty. I cannot wait to dig in. So it may be back to school season, but at least this will ease the pain a little bit. And that toasted meringue icing actually really tastes like a toasted marshmallow. It's gonna be pretty good. Liz, I know you're dying to have one. So as always, guys, if you've liked what you've seen, please subscribe down below. And as always, keep cooking.